The first game from fledgling developer First Breath Studio, Dry Ice is a first-person shooter, which feels thematically appropriate. Powered by Unreal Engine, Dry Ice is shooting for a high level of realism in its lifelike wilderness and has impressed enough to earn it a spot in the eye-poppingly beautiful category at Rogue Jam, not to mention a shot at the $100,000 prize. But graphics aren't everything, and it doesn't sound like First Breath is letting its quest for authentic visuals get in the way of a pretty quirky backstory. The dry ice here apparently refers to a mysterious element that's said to power most of the technology in the game, or at least anything that's not already powered by steam. As First Breath explains, Dry Ice is actually set in an alternate version of 1940, where all technological advancements to date have been driven by steam. But legend has drawn a small crew of soldiers and scientists to Western Asia in search of this enigmatic element called dry ice, which will revolutionize their current weapons and technology. The result is a game with a fairly distinct World War II aesthetic, certainly in terms of the uniforms and visually iconic things like the classic doughboy-style steel helmets, but one infused with steampunk elements and various other so-called mad inventions. That said, this comes according to First Breath itself, as the single map in this initial build doesn't overtly make a lot of that particularly clear for now. There's a small, seemingly military-themed installation which, on closer inspection, does contain some peculiar-looking golden pipes, and there are some modified weapons on the map which certainly weren't standard issue in World War II. But overall, the steampunk approach seems quite subtle in this first look experience. The available objective in this first taste of Dry Ice is to acquire a relic from a nearby temple and escape. This turned out to be a brutally unforgiving challenge to attempt solo, as there's minimal direction and dying ends the run instantly. The only option is to quit, establish another lobby, and try again. It certainly feels more geared towards cooperative play from this glimpse, but the developer's chosen genre of fantasy hardcore shooter would seem to imply that a steep difficulty curve is alright by them. Walking through the snowy coniferous forest, eye-poppingly beautiful is honestly a pretty long bow to draw, but it is true that some of the organic textures like the densely littered forest floor and the detailed bark dusted with snow do look quite nice. The range of tree sizes and the intimidating size at their largest also contributes to a nice sense of scale. The weather and time of day appears to both change throughout matches and vary between them. In our first attempt, it got dark and more or less impossible to see the AI enemies at all, but subsequent matches were sunnier and easier on the eyes. Dry Ice's realistic art style is ambitious for an indie project, but it will need more than some better than average vegetation to make the big splash it wants to. While it's still obviously early in the process, First Breath does have some work to do to bring both clarity and substance to its alternate history vision. Hopefully they haven't bitten off more than they can chew, and if they pick up the $100,000 at Rogue Jam, Dry Ice might just prove to have some sticking power.